Hello, and welcome back to another weekly game with Duolingo Chess. Today, I want to touch on a subject matter that's deeply important to a lot of people, and something that I think about a lot in my own life. Today, I want to talk about religion. Now, for a long time, and I still probably do consider myself an atheist. However, recently I've been looking into arguments for and against God a lot more, and I don't know, just spending a lot more time thinking about this kind of thing. Um, Recently I've been watching a lot of a YouTuber called or Alex O'Connor. Yeah, you might have heard of him. Probably have if you've gone into the philosophy side of YouTube at all. So I wouldn't be surprised if any of our Talkology viewers have seen it or are familiar with him. But I recently saw him talking about this argument that was kind of like the first cause argument, but not in the sense of sort of a cause of the universe. So normally, I believe the first cause argument goes something like, how do you believe the universe began? And most atheists would respond to that with, well, I don't know for sure, but I believe the universe began with the Big Bang. But then, of course, the problem with that is, what came before the Big Bang? What was it that caused the Big Bang? And a Christian or a theist might argue that the person who caused the Big Bang is God. And the problem with that is an atheist would say, who or what created God? The response to that is, well, nobody created God, he's eternal. And then the response to that is, well, why couldn't the universe be eternal? So that's kind of a line of argument that I don't find it personally convincing. You might have an argument that that does convince you to sort of follow that up, but I sort of haven't. That hasn't convinced me very much. But recently, I heard this variation of the argument, and that's that sort of God is like the fundamental force that supports everything. So you think of a table, and what's the table being held up by? Well, the table is being held up by its legs. What are its legs being held up by? Being held up by the floor, and the floor is being held up by the foundation of the building, and you can go on forever until you eventually hit some sort of brick wall, and you end up with some kind of force like gravity. Now, some may argue that this doesn't mean that God exists in the Christian sense of like a person or maybe it's a matter of definition. But I think it's definitely a stronger and much more plausible argument that God is the fundamental force, who sort of creates, or not necessarily creates, but holds up gravity. He's sort of the fundamental basis for all things. And one thing that I particularly like about this argument, much like Alex O'Connor said himself, is that it suggests that God is always present and hasn't really left humans at all, because I don't find that personally plausible. that he'd leave his creation. But yeah, it's just it's something I've been thinking about a lot lately, and I thought I'd share that with you. So let me know what you think about that argument in the comments, and maybe I'll talk about it on the next podcast episode.
Nice check.
But for now, we're reaching the end of the game.
Oh, Oscar.
Thank you very much for watching.
So good.
See you next week.